Girl. It's Monday night, and this is Twisted Stitches.
You got to look like Marty Feldman.
Happy. What? Already we just
You got to look like Marty Feldman. You got two cameras here. Come on now. One eye this camera, the other eye the other camera.
Stop it. It's Monday night, and this is Twisted Stitches. Happy almost 4th of July, everybody. And I think by the 4th of July, we're going to put Paul in the middle of the fireworks, in the middle of the beach.
Yay.
And let him sit out there with all the fireworks. I hope you're having a great weekend, and it is stifling hot here in Niantic, Connecticut. We have a very special guest here with us tonight. And before we get started with that, I just want to let you all know, those of you who are on Instagram, we're going to ask you to pop over to Facebook because it's really hard to stream on Instagram with a guest. So if
impossible,
you are,
actually.
what, honey?
It's impossible.
All right. So it's so hard. It's impossible. Thank you, Paul, for letting everybody know that. And if you can just pop over to Facebook, you'll be able to get the full effect and the full enjoyment of Roseann Fleischauer. So we're going to make sure we have that. Yes, Paul.
That includes you, double stitches.
Double the stitches? That's Jessica A's. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, Jessica.
How are you? Hope you're having a great weekend.
All right.
Let me see. KnittyGrittyYarnGirl. I want to go live here. And so I can see what's happening. Okay.
All right. While you're doing that, let me say hello to some of our guests. Starting us off, Jillian Goldrich says hello.
Hi, Jillian.
Darren Showers, hello from Cape Cod.
Hi.
Michelle Mingo Lewis, our local friend, is in the house. Hey there.
Good evening. Good evening.
Nancy Parks, hi all. It's stinking hot in Northern Virginia.
It's stinking hot here, too.
Ray Sean D. Jones is in the house.
Hi,
Good
Ray
evening, everyone. Hey, buddies. Anna Maria Milani, good evening, all. And Patricia Espejo, hey, everyone.
Hey, Patty, wait, hold on a second. Ray Sean, I love your nails. Okay, go ahead.
And coming to us all the way from Eureka, California, we've got Rita Johnson Cotterman with a hello, my yarnies.
Hello.
Hashtag yarn it. Where's Doug? Where's Doug? Beth Ann Wills, good evening from northern Minnesota.
Hi, Beth Ann.
Is that near Frostbite Falls, Minnesota?
Keep moving. It's a half-hour show.
Marianne Murray Summers says hello.
Hi, Marianne.
And Donna Nahajlo, that's right, the J is pronounced. Hi, everyone.
No, it is not.
And Debbie Andretta, very humidity here in Pennsylvania.
Yes, very humidity here everywhere. My grandmother used to say it was very humidity.
Nancy Robertson, yay! Hello, everyone. Kristen Parkhurst, hey, she was here recently.
Yes.
Throws up a hand waving emoji. And my favorite name on the planet, Oriana Christina Bruno. I like that so much. I'm going to say it again. Oriana Christina Bruno. Hi, everyone. Nancy March. Hi, Nancy.
Hi,
Says,
Nancy.
good evening, all. Ray Shandi Jones says, thank you. And Wendy Lonkar, hello, and good evening from Tejas. Best barbecue you'll ever find is in Tejas.
Where's that?
What, barbecue?
K-House?
Yeah,
K-House where?
by the Rio Grande.
Oh.
New Mexico?
No, Texas.
Oh, Texas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Patricia Espejo, missed you last week with Knit Night with Paul. Last week. Oh, that's right.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Paul did Knit Night last week because I was out of town. So Paul decided to do twisted stitches from his hotel room.
I got a lot done until I twisted the stitches and I had to put the pattern down. Didn't end well. As a matter of fact, it's still in the bag. You need to fix it for me. Jessica Hayes, she switched over to the Facebook, says hi.
Hi.
Hot and humidity on Long Island also.
Yeah.
Rita Johnson, Cotterman Knit Night was awesome. You know what? That bears highlighting. I'm going to put that on the screen right now. Anything that says I was good, I'm all for. Gloria Hummelfies, hello, everyone. Ironer 18, if you could jump on over to the Facebook, because we can't bring the guest on the Instagram, so everybody's got to jump over to the Facebook. All right, so are we going to leave this on, or what are we going to do?
What?
Are we leaving this on anyway?
We'll leave it on.
Yeah,
And
all right,
then
why
this
not?
way, if somebody comes on, at least they know they can. We'll just
Yeah.
keep. If you notice that they're there, we'll just ask them to pop over to Facebook.
All
So,
righty
without
then.
further
Oh,
ado,
Deb Massa, hello from Pittsburgh. Sorry.
without further ado, hi Deb. I am so excited to have Roseann Fleischauer with us from First Bite Designs and her brand new book.
Yay.
Yay. I remember when I had my first book published. It's so exciting, and I'm so happy for you, and I'm so excited to have you here with us. Thank you for joining us, Roseann.
Oh, thank you for having me on tonight. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, yes. Well, we had a great conversation the other day getting acquainted, and this is going to be an amazing thing. If you haven't already, I'm just going to preface this whole thing by saying, if you have not already seen the designs in Roseann's book, go over to our website and look up Cozy Coastal Knits, correct?
That's correct.
Yes,
Yep.
Cozy Coastal Knits, and you'll see all the images from the book are posted on that page there so that you can see everything that you're going to get when you find this amazing book. So welcome, Roseann. There it is. That pretty. I love the cover. We were talking about your model before, how fantastic she is. I loved just seeing her display everything that you've designed. She did a wonderful job of putting everything out there and making it look real and beautiful.
Ellen really did a wonderful job. She worked with Gail Zucker, and they made a great team.
Yes, yeah. Gail Zucker did your photography, correct?
Yes, she did.
Yeah. Gail is from Connecticut, and I've met her before, and she's just an amazing photographer. So tell us a little bit, Roseann, about how you got started and about your book. So let's start with, how did you decide to write a book?
Well, I had already been working with yarn companies and with local yarn stores. I'd been doing some teaching and some design work. So when the world economy closed down, I thought, well, this is the perfect opportunity to do something different. And while I helped the stores that I had relationships with through some of the trials and tribulations of getting their stores online and getting their Zoom accounts set up so they could run their knit nights remotely, and working with some of the publishing houses that I worked with to bring some of their designs to a new audience, I thought, well, maybe it's time that I take this same approach and finally put pen to paper and see if I can put together a book. I had a lot of ideas that over the years the magazines had, for one reason or another, not used. And I had a really good opportunity to figure out why. I worked with them to figure out what they did or didn't like about certain patterns. And then I worked with the yarn stores who are my clients to figure out what would resonate with their customers. And I came up with a collection of 30 patterns, called it down to 21, and started to work with the yarn companies that were able to provide yarn, and had that yarn sent to various people who were actually in the Long Island Knitting Guild at the time, and they started working on the test knits. So it all kind of just came together.
It sure did. How long did that whole process take?
About a year and a half. By the time we went to have the photography done, the photography needed to wait until there was a point in time where we could get together and do the actual photo shoot and not be as constricted as we had been previously. So there was a 2-month lag between when everything was ready to be photographed and when it was photographed. But aside from that, it was about a year and a half. So all in, probably closer to 2, if you consider some of the lag time that we had encountered along the way. And once everything was all done, I started to shop it around to publishing houses, because at that point in the business cycle, the publishers had begun to open up a little bit more. I don't know if you had experienced some of the same trials and tribulations of trying to get in touch with different companies, that they simply weren't responding because they weren't open, or they were working in a different way, and it was very difficult to get phone calls in return when I would inquire about what their processes were. And so I worked very closely with some other authors that I know, and they had introduced me to Stackpole, and Stackpole had decided to take a chance and put the book together.
Wow, that's amazing. Hold on, we've got a couple of comments here.
All right, Maria Brandt says, thanks for a great live. We do so many, I'm not sure which one she's
I think she
referring
means
to.
this one.
This one, okay.
I think she's
Rita
enjoying it.
Johnson Cotterman, I'm on the Pacific Coast, so this will be a must-have. Pamela Rose Atkins, hi y'all.
Hey there.
Gloria Hamilthis, shared.
Thank you.
Michelle Mingo Lewis, and what is that the publisher didn't like the first time?
Oh, we
What
never
was it
know.
that the publisher didn't like the first time?
But go ahead. What is it? What was it that the publisher didn't like the first time?
Do they even tell you?
Well,
Did they tell you?
I can be rather persuasive. I went back and I asked them, and the editors with whom I had good relationships with were more than willing to share their insights, whether it was I used a yarn that they didn't think would be readily available, or I used a pattern that would be too difficult for them to write out within the confines of the page. If you think about how short a pattern is when you're looking at a magazine versus how much more verbiage there can be in a book, it makes perfect sense why sometimes you find more complicated patterns are more easily expressed through the written word, longer pattern notes, taking up more room. And in a magazine, that comes down to dollars and cents in a very different equation than it does in a book.
Very good. Yeah, that's interesting. Very interesting. So you went through this process, took a year and a half. How did you decide which patterns you wanted to put in there?
I actually had used a focus group. I had been very fortunate to have a couple of different knitting groups with whom I had been working and collaborating online through Zoom. So I simply asked, I put it out there, hey, I'm going to have a focus group on Zoom this day. I want to discuss these types of topics. You know, one day we discussed what should the model represent, who should she and who should he be. Another time it was to resonate through this concept of what colors evoke a coastal sensation, and how can we use more than just what one would associate a blue and a white or an off-white, and what can we do to bring color to life through the pages. So I had different topics that I worked on with different focus groups, and that's how we culled it down from the 30 designs to 21.
Cool. So, did you have comments, Paul?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mary Brinkman, hello everyone. And Michelle Mingo Lewis says, good to know, thanks.
So why don't you show us a couple of the designs?
Sure. I'm going to just move the mannequin over so you can see it.
Okay.
This one is a poncho, and it is the Ocean Beach poncho. And actually, it was inspired by walking along the boardwalk out in California. So that the colors may resonate if you're thinking about the boardwalk out in Ocean Beach. It is actually two shawls. So the pattern is a triangle, worked from the center, out and down. And the person who did the test knit for me took the time as she worked on each panel to match the colors. So you're truly enveloped by the color. If I hold it up like this, you can actually see the color resonating around the entire piece.
Mm-hmm.
So by having a long run of color in the yarn that was used for the stripes, it presented a lovely palette to work with. And because it's done from the center, let me move it over a little bit into the view. Since it's done from the center out, and it's a very simple repeat, you can make it whatever size you would like it to ultimately be by changing the number of repeats or even changing the number of rows in between the lace panels. And we discuss those types of topics in the pattern notes. Or if you don't really need a poncho, you can just make one and make it a shawl.
Ah, interesting. I actually thought it was a shawl sitting there, and I went through all the patterns, but just seeing it on there, I just assumed it was a shawl. Very, very pretty.
Thank
Gina
you.
Bates says hi.
Hi, Gina.
Hi, Gina.
What else do we have there?
Well, let me just take a minute to change your model.
Oh,
And we have
great.
another
Thank you.
poncho. For those of us who spend a lot of time near or on the water, it's always good to have things that are very washable. So this is actually sock yarn. This piece is done sideways using sock yarn. So by using sock yarns that come in cakes where you have concentric color rings and working vertically side to side, you can create vertical stripes on your piece rather than having horizontal stripes. And because it's sock yarns have a relatively long repeat of color. So you usually get maybe 6 or 8 rows or rounds when you're working on a pair of socks. But when you work them flat, you can work a couple, and you don't really see, because it's one skein of yarn, you don't have to have color transitions that you're hiding, where you drop one color and pick up another. So as you're carrying the color, it can be carried, you're not carrying it, it's the yarn doing the work. And when you finish one cake and start the next one, you can start the next one from the other point in the cake. That's how we get the patterning to work the way it does. So I started with one side of the cake, and then when I got through the first cake, pulled from the other side of the cake, so like the inside of the cake to the outside, outside to inside, inside to outside, and kept going so that the striping mirrored itself.
Very interesting.
Kristen Parker says, beautiful poncho / shawl. And Michelle Mingo Lewis says, love that. And just saying that I love cake also.
Cake, yarn cakes.
Oh, you can't eat that.
And one of the nice things about doing pieces like this is if you have a couple of skeins of sock yarn, don't forget sock yarn is usually got a little nylon in it, and it's a super washable or some other washable yarn. You can always partner with another. So you could do, part of it could be striped, and then the rest of it could be a solid color using a fingering weight yarn. So there are a lot of different ways that you can combine yarns to get a similar effect to what we have here based upon what your personal preferences might be. If you think it's too stripy. Someone actually said she thought it was too stripy. She wanted to know how I would tone it down. So what I told her was do part of it using a set of cakes and then pick up a color and do the rest of it in a solid.
So there's a lot of creativity that you could take on your own to create what you would like to see in that as the pattern moves along.
Depending on the yarn.
Yep, depending upon the yarn, depending upon what's available to you and what you feel good about wearing. Some people don't necessarily like to wear stripes. You could just use something like, let's say you had a tonal dyed fingering weight yarn that was 100% superwash merino. You could make the whole thing in one color. And it would work left to right or right to left, depending upon if you're working on the front or the back.
Gina Bates says, cool. And Rita Johnson Cotterman says, beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rita. Thank you, Gina. So then we have.
So what else do we have to show? What else do you have to show us?
More stripes. This one in the book is actually done a little bit differently. So this one is a shawl. In the book, it's done with a hood. And it's done, when this prototype was done, the test knitter thought it looked a little too busy. So the final verdict from the focus group was rather than using this one for the book, we reversed it. So there's a solid color here with a lace pattern. And there's a long color run here, which is actually produced by the yarn. So instead, we'd used solid here and the variegated yarn here for the lace, so that when you wore it, you had the striping in the lace and the solid panels. In the book, there's also instructions on how to add a hood. So if you live in a colder climate and you wanted to be able to wear a hood with it, the test knitter had helped me line it up so that the striping on the hood, when you're not wearing it, just folds inside. And you can wear it like this. And then when it's cold, you can turn it around and wear it like this with the hood up, which is shown in the pattern in the book.
So is that actually two different yarns that you use in there? Is there a variegated end?
Yes, so this is, let me hold it up closer to the camera so you can see it. This is actually a variegated yarn with a very long color run. It's a DK weight. It is universal color burst. So you could use something like a nice Noro that has a nice color repeat in it, and then a solid of the same weight, a DK weight. And in the context of doing a yarn replacement with this one, it could look really cool if you use like Silk Garden and Silk Garden Solo. So that you would have your choice. If you wanted to do the stripe part in the lace and just have a plain field, you could do the inverse, which is what we ultimately did in the book. Or if you wanted something with a little more pizzazz to it, you could do this, where you have the solid used in the lace and the long color repeats of the variegated yarn present in the stockinette field.
Excellent. So, oh, go ahead, Paul.
Lorraine Schiller joins us from the YouTube. Hi, all. Nice to meet you, Roseann.
Hi.
Hi, Lorraine. Thanks for joining us.
So, Roseann, with the patterns or the designs that you have, you're using a variety of yarn weights.
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead. Tell us about those.
Sure. I used a variety of different yarn weights because not everybody lives on the same coast. So the idea of cozy coastal is that if you live someplace where you want a very lightweight rayon, there are patterns that were done in a lightweight rayon. There are patterns that were done in bamboo, and there are some that were done in varying types of wool or wool blends. So it provides you the opportunity to explore different yarn too. There's a whole chapter on yarn substitution. So if you are looking for, let's say you wanted to make this, but you lived in a climate where you just didn't want to use wool, there's a conversation about what you could use instead and what you may want to look for in a yarn that you may substitute with. If you're using fingering weight yarn, sock yarn is a great substitute, especially if you're giving it to someone who won't necessarily take the best care of it. And then there are a couple of patterns that do use bulky yarn because some people just like to use yarn to put together a quick project. And I think that it's important to have those in a collection too, because, you know, we've all been there 3 days before a holiday and we realize we forgot to get a gift. So we have something that takes 100 yards and it's a quick and easy repeat. That can be helpful.
And you mentioned something about, you mentioned that there's a section in the book about yarn substitution. So this is more than just a design book.
Yes. So what I did was when I was putting together a table of contents, I talked to people and to yarn shop owners who had pain points with the customers that they served, whether it was how do you help people with color? How do you help people with blocking? How do you help people pick out yarn substitutions? And trying to figure out a way to add some of that dialogue into the book so that people had the opportunity to learn a little bit and then work with their local yarn shop owner to figure out what the best solution might be for a given project and yarn that's available. Because we don't always have the same things available. And tomorrow these yarns could be discontinued. So it's always nice to be able to say, this is the yarn that was used, these are the attributes of it, and here's what you may want to consider as a substitution.
Cool. Excellent. Excellent. We have some more comments.
Rita Johnson Cotterman, that's wonderful to give those options. And Mary Brinkman says, yeah, bulky. Camera guy used to be. Lorraine Schiller jumped on over to the Facebook. Hi, all. Nice to meet you, Roseann.
Lovely to meet you too, Lorraine.
So one of my favorites that you have in the book is the cocoon. Will you show us that one?
Sure.
I love the way it was modeled. I love how it looks, and the whole idea of just having a cocoon makes me think about, you know, the little baby cocoons that we have today. Rather than putting the blankets on our babies, we put them in these little cocoons. Sometimes I just want to wrap myself up in one too. So I love the design.
Now you can. So this one is worked side to side. So the back is a rectangle, and then you fold it. It's a big origami project. You fold it and work the arms. And then when you're done with the arms, you pick up and work on the collar. I'm going to put it on me because it won't hang well on the mannequin and will hang slightly better on me because the mannequin doesn't have arms.
Yeah.
So yes, you can wrap yourself up in this one, and there isn't a lot of bulk. So by using a ribbing here, we're giving some, there's some give in the fabric. And when it hangs down in such a way that because of the fact that it's knit sideways and you're getting the lateral movement of the yarn, you can easily make adjustments to the length. I don't think you can't really see the length here, but in the book, there's a picture of the model wearing it and you see it from the back. I'm wondering if I put it on, let me put it on myself and show you the back.
Just turn. Let's see if we can see. Oh.
Move the model mannequin out of the way. So now you can see the ribbing in the back here. And the piece itself hangs down.
Oh, yes.
It's kind of difficult to see it, but one of the interesting things about the way it's folded is here's my elbow. So I have all of this area here where when it's cold, I can just sort of scrunch my arms in and get warm. So it's not really a dolman sleeve as much as it's just the way the fabric is folded.
Yeah,
And
I love it. I think it's a fabulous pattern.
thank you.
Fine.
And it's a lot of fun to knit because you're knitting it side to side. Again, it's easy to make alterations. If you're particularly tall, you can cast on more stitches to make it longer. Or if someone is shorter in stature and wants to make it not hang as low, they can cast on less stitches. And because you're using a rectangle as your base, it's easy to do the math. You know, if you want to make it a little bit wider, like if you had particularly wide shoulders and you wanted to make sure that the elbow to elbow dimension was of a certain width, it's easy to make adjustments.
Well, thank you. And I'm just going to tell our fans out there, forgive me. I know I looked away from the camera and looked down at my screen here because I'm watching. The only way I can see what Roseann is doing is to have my iPad in front of me. And I just happened to, I looked down because I love this design so much that I was enjoying watching her model it. So thank you so much. Thank you for your patience while I did that. And so let's share with our group, with our viewers, that you are going to be live and in person here at Nitty Gritty Yarn Girl.
Yes.
On August, what is it, the 11th?
11.
Yeah, August 11th.
Yay.
So Roseann is actually going to be kicking off our anniversary weekend. And we've got a whole weekend of surprises, and well, not really surprises because we'll be announcing it ahead of time, but it'll be a surprise when it comes out and we tell you what's happening. But we've got a whole weekend of events planned, the 11th, the 12th, and the 13th here at Nitty Gritty Yarn Girl. And we are so thrilled because Roseann is going to be here with us. She's going to be doing a book signing. You can order your books in advance of the event so that we have everything ready for you when you come. It's not just for folks in person. You can order books online and she will autograph them for you with a sentiment that you would like. You could just put your sentiment in the notes section of the book if it's going to be a book that we have to send out. And we'll get that shipped off to you. We'll have the books here that weekend of August 11th. So you'll have to wait a little bit when you place your order now, but at least you know you will have them. And so we're doing a book signing, and then we're also going to be doing, Rosann's going to be doing a class for us on yarn substitution, which is, we talked a lot about tonight.
I think that'll be a lot of fun because it's a nice interactive exercise. I'll bring all the pieces with me and people can try them on. We can do a fashion show if you want. And be fun.
Yes. So that'll be from, what did we say? 4 to 7, right?
4 to 7.
4 to 7 on the 11th. So yeah, she will be here. But if you can't get to the shop, of course you can order your books online, and we will do our very best. You know that to go live while Roseann is here and give you at least a taste of the trunk show. And so that's what we've got going on here with Roseann. It's been, I think, yeah, look at me. We've got exactly to 8:30. Well, a little after, but that's okay. As Paul always says, we own the network here. So yes, we have a very, very special event planned, and we're so happy to have you here with us, Roseann, to celebrate our first anniversary here at our brick and mortar shop.
Well, thank you. I'm very much looking forward to it. And congratulations on your first year.
And yeah, and you're not so far away.
No.
Where is she?
She's in Massachusetts.
Where?
I don't know where. Where in Massachusetts?
Outside of Boston in Wellesley.
Wellesley.
Oh, Wellesley. I love Wellesley.
All right, Paul's going to tell you all the restaurants in Wellesley now.
Alta Strada. If you haven't been, their pasta is magnificent there.
It's right down the street, Paul, and yes, I have been.
I love it.
Well, we are going to pull a name from our sharing bucket.
Who wants to win? That's
And,
the question of the day.
Roseann, I was so excited to learn when you and I spoke the first time that you are not new to Nitty Gritty Yarn Girl. You've known about us for quite some time, and we appreciate that. So you know about our sharing bucket. We're just going to dig in right now and share back with our fans. So
Round and round she goes. Where she stops, only the Nitty Gritty Yarn Girl
I have
knows.
to tell you all that when people walk in the shop, for the first time, there's not one person who walks past this bucket and doesn't say, "What's that?" And we tell them all about it. So,
And the winner is.
Oh, wait a minute! Didn't we just pull her name last week? Marilyn Bressler, who won again.
What?
Marilyn. So, Marilyn
Wow.
Bressler, congratulations, my dear. You have another sharing prize coming your way.
Yay.
Thank you very much. Roseann, thank you for joining us tonight. It's an absolute, I'm looking at the screen again. Roseann, thank you very much for joining us tonight. It was such a pleasure to have you here, and I can't wait to see you in person and welcome you here to Nitty Gritty Yarn Girl.
Yay.
I am looking forward to it, and I'm sure Paul will have some more restaurant recommendations for me in your area too.
Oh,
Oh
absolutely.
yeah, we'll have some recommendations for you. No problem. Good night, everybody. Any closing comments there from the group, honey?
Nope.
Okay. We love you all. Have a very, very safe tomorrow. Watch out for those fireworks. Keep your fingers away from them. I love you. Stay safe. Happy 4th of July. Bye-bye.
Bye.